do we call the alphabet characters? Think. Because B is B at 2 a.m. in Africa or in the Bronx. A does not become Z because someone slanders it. C is still C on Monday in Manila and on Friday in Miami. They are called characters because they do not change. Write this down. What does not change under pressure is what you can trust. If letters are dependable because they are consistent, then I ask you, can we read your life like that? Are you the same letter everywhere? Statues don't move. That's why kings carved their images in stone, because stone says, I will not bend to your weather. Character is like that. It is integrated. It is one. Psalm 15 describes the person who swears to his own hurt and does not change. Psalm 15:4, that is character. You don't shift when the wind of opinion blows or when the heat of accusation rises. Pressure doesn't create character. It reveals it. It either finds granite or it finds gravel. Here is the hook. Receive it into your spirit. Don't fight dirty. Make dirt irrelevant. Dirt cannot stain granite principles. Write it down. Principle is stone. Gossip is dust. Dust makes noise but cannot etch rock. When you align with the rock of principle, manipulation has no handholds. Daniel's enemies could find no corruption in him because he was trustworthy and neither corrupt nor negligent. Daniel 6:4. So they devised traps around his law because they could not grip his life. That is not luck, that is stone. You don't outpunch slander, you outlast it. You don't dive into the mud, you stand on the mountain. Jesus said, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, yet it did not fall because it was on the rock. Matthew 7:25. Hear me, the rock is not your emotion. The rock is not your reputation. The rock is not your rebuttal on social media. The rock is law, principle, truth that does not move. Write this down. You never win by wrestling with mud. You win by building on rock. You don't outpunch manipulation. You outlast it by aligning with unchanging law. What is a principle? A principle is a law. Say it softly to yourself. A principle is a law. You can ignore it, but you can never disagree with it without paying a price. Gravity does not read your resume. Gravity does not feel sorry for your intentions. If you step off a 12-story building, sincerity will not suspend you. The law will sentence you without a judge. That's a principle. It is universal, predictable, and unemotional. Tweet this. Principles are unbribable. You cannot negotiate with a law. You can only align or suffer. That's why wise people don't fight laws. They leverage them. Airplanes don't beat gravity. They submit to higher laws, lift, thrust, drag, and ride over gravity by obeying aerodynamics. Winning without fighting is not passivity. It is intelligent submission to a superior law, so the law does your fighting. Let me correct a cultural lie. We have been told, fight fire with fire. That is foolishness. Write it down. When you fight fire with fire, you burn the neighborhood. The wise bring water. The manipulator wants you reactive because force is their home field. They traffic in pressure, heat, and speed. But influence changes the field. Hear me. Influence beats force every time. Tweet that right now. Force is noise. Influence is law-aligned design. Force exhausts you. Influence positions you. Force tries to push. Influence makes things move themselves. That is why Jesus said, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Matthew 11:30. Obedience to principle reduces strain because law carries the load. Write it down. The yoke of principle is lighter than the chain of reaction. Some of you mistake stillness for weakness. No, stillness is strategic when you are standing in law. Exodus 14:14 says, the Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. That is not abdication, that is jurisdiction. When you stand in principle, you stand in God's jurisdiction because his word is law. Psalm 119:89 declares, forever, O Lord, your word is settled in heaven. Settled means it doesn't vote, it speaks. Therefore, when you align with what is settled, heaven litigates your battles. Write this down. Alignment authorizes assistance. The reason some of you are tired is because you chose brawling over building, reactions over rules, muscle over law. Let's define the policy of the rock. I say this to my leaders all the time. Honesty is my only policy. Not best policy, only policy. Why? Because truth is a law. Proverbs 12:19. Truthful lips endure forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. See the law? Truth endures, lies expire. If you anchor to what endures, time becomes your ally. If you anchor to what expires, time becomes your prosecutor. Write it down. Time is a servant of truth and an enemy of deception. This is why you don't need to fight every rumor. You need to be ruthlessly consistent. Live in such a way that time keeps testifying on your behalf. Let me give you a picture. A hammer is impressive, but a court order is stronger. The hammer can bruise. The order changes reality. Muscle may knock on your door. Law can remove the door. Stop trying to be the hammer. Become the order. How? Codify your life in principle. Name your standards. Publish your boundaries. Practice your ethics. When the manipulator presses you, your response is not emotion. It is statute. Daniel didn't flex. He referenced. We can find no corruption in him. So they had to make a law to trap him because he lived by law, Daniel 6:4. Hear me. When your enemies must manufacture laws to frame you, you have already won. Why? Because any law forged against principle collapses under the weight of time. Galatians 6:7 is another statute. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever one sows, that will he also reap. That is not a church slogan. It is a courtroom verdict. Sowing and reaping is jurisdictional. If you sow in secrecy, you reap in public. If you sow in principle, you reap in peace. So winning without fighting is planting the same seed every day until the harvest becomes undeniable. Write this down. Repetition is how influence behaves. Consistency is how truth marches. So how do you live this tomorrow morning when someone sends a nasty email? You do not mirror their temperature. You answer with the statute. You write, here is our agreed standard. Here is the timeline. Here is the boundary. Calm, clear, documented law. You resist the seduction of the long text, the sarcastic jab, the midnight clapback. Why? Because law does not stay up late to argue. Law sleeps, and the morning enforces it. Ephesians 5:13 says, everything exposed by the light becomes visible. Light does not swing fists, it reveals. Your job is to flip the switch, not to wrestle in the dark. Everybody say this to yourself. Lead with your life, then say, lock your life to law. Decide your only policy. Put it where your eyes can see it. Honesty is my only policy. I do not shade truth. I do not weaponize silence. I do not fabricate intent. I do not inflate numbers. Why so severe? Because ambiguity is fertile ground for manipulation. Clarity is concrete, and dirt cannot stick to poured concrete. You are building a house. The rain can visit but cannot move. Finally, understand the economics of law. Force spends energy, law collects interest. When you remain principled under pressure, you are accruing credibility capital. People may not clap today, but they are calculating. They are asking, does this person change under heat? If the answer is no, trust compiles like compound interest. That is how you win without lifting a fist. Your integrity becomes your equity. Your word becomes your warrant. Your standards become your shield. Write it down and never forget it. Stay with the law long enough and the law will stay with you when you need it most. Before God gave humanity an assignment, he gave an alignment. Here, Genesis 1:26. Then God said, let us make man in our image according to our likeness and let them have dominion. Image before dominion, character before power. Write it down. God never gives you what you can't govern. He gives you power only after he installs the governor called character. Why? Because power without character is a loaded weapon in a trembling hand. Power will not corrupt you. Power will expose you. Power makes what you are louder. If you are integrated, power amplifies integrity. If you are divided, power multiplies destruction. Tweet that to somebody right now. Image is the instruction manual. Dominion is the machinery. Run a machine without a manual and you don't produce, you explode. Character is the governor that makes power safe and strategy clean. Think of the engine in a race car. It can scream at 10,000 revolutions per minute, but there is a small device called a governor that limits speed to safe ranges. The engine is power. The governor is character. Many of you are praying for bigger engines, more followers, more resources, bigger platforms, and heaven is silent, not because God is stingy, but because he is merciful. He will not answer prayer that kills you. Write this down. God protects you from the future you cannot survive. He delays dominion until he sees his image. That's love, not denial. Let me confront the greatest myth in leadership and life, the public-private divide. There is no such thing as a private life. Say it out loud. There is no such thing as a private life. Your secret life is your real life. Jesus said there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be known or brought to light. Luke 8:17. Numbers 32-23 adds a legal clause. Be sure your sin will find you out. Why? Because secrecy is a breach in the governor. It is a fracture in the image. Holiness simply means oneness. Be holy, for I am holy. 1 Peter 1:16. Be one, not two. Integrity is integration. The Lord our God is one. His people must be one. You are either the same person in the hotel and at home with a microphone and without one, or you are for sale. Are you for sale? Everybody say integrate. Write it down. Live loudly. Never do anything in the dark you are not willing to defend in the light. Lead with your life. That is more than a motto. It is a management system. People do not trust what is impressive. They trust what is integrated. Impressive shouts. Integrated stands. Impressive entertains. Integrated governs. This is why Paul required leaders to be above reproach. 1 Timothy 3:2. Above reproach doesn't mean perfect. It means predictable in principle. Tweet this. Predictability in principle is credibility in practice. If your team, your spouse, your clients, your citizens can predict your response because you are governed by law, they will hand you dominion without a fist fight. That is winning without fighting. Your life becomes your license. Your conduct is your credential. Let me warn you with love. There are only three places the image is truly tested: power, money, and access to sex. That's it. Every fall you've seen in politics, pulpits, or boardrooms was a failure at one of those gates. Character is self-imposed discipline to say no to yourself at the very point you can say yes to everything. Write that down. Discipline is the boundary you build before you need it. When you earn more, when you influence more, when you are desired more, the governor must be stronger, not looser. Guard your heart, for out of it flow the issues of life. Proverbs 4:23. Issues mean streams, controls, valves. Your heart is the control room of dominion. Secure the control room and the plant runs quietly. Neglect it and sirens will introduce you to yourself in public. How do you install the governor? By codifying your image as standards that don't blink. Stab with one unbreakable oath. Honesty is my only policy, not best only. Then fix daily constraints. I do not lie for profit. I do not negotiate my vows. I do not meet in secrecy where accountability cannot see. I do not entertain favors. I would be ashamed to invoice. I document decisions. I welcome scrutiny. Write it down. Transparency is preventative maintenance. It keeps the governor lubricated. If you cannot report it, don't repeat it. If you cannot explain it, don't enter it. If you cannot publish it, don't practice it. Lead with your life. Here's the promise attached to image before dominion. When your character governs your power, you will never have to fight for legitimacy. Legitimacy becomes the echo of your consistency. Jesus said, by their fruits you will know them. Matthew 7:20. Fruit is public evidence of private roots. Keep the root pure and the fruit will defend your tree. You won't need press conferences to explain contradictions because there won't be any. You won't need to outshout slander because your seasons will outlast it. Write it down. Credibility is compounded obedience. Do small laws for a long time and the future will sign your name for you. So I commission you, seek image before you seek influence. Demand governance before you demand growth. Fix the governor on your soul, truth in your mouth, fidelity in your body, stewardship in your money. Publish your standards so temptation reads the sign and passes by. Let your strategies be clean because your source is clean. The world is desperate for leaders whose power is safe. Be that leader. Be one. Be whole. Align to immutable principles. Govern your emotions. Enforce transparent boundaries and watch manipulation suffocate for lack of oxygen. The rock will carry you. The law will defend you. And dominion will come looking for you because image made you ready. Now let us name the game so you stop playing it unconsciously. Manipulation has a playbook, and it is always looking for a landlord willing to rent out integrity by the hour. Write it down. Where appetite rules, manipulation reigns. Where principle rules, schemes fail. James gives us the operating system. Each person is tempted when he is lured and enticed by his own desire. Then desire, when it has conceived, gives birth to sin. James 1:14-15. Desire is not evil. Undisciplined desire is exploitable. Manipulation does not create your appetite. It coordinates it against you. So the question is not, do you want? The question is, who governs what you want? Here are the three handles manipulators grip. Don't forget them. Power, money, and access to sex. Every fall you have read on the front page hung on one of these hooks. Samson fell at the sex gate. Judas priced his soul at the money gate, 30 pieces of silver, Matthew 26-15. Herod slaughtered innocents to protect power, Matthew 2. Different centuries, same gates. Why? Because these three are accelerants. They promise to fast forward your feelings, your status, your lack, your loneliness. Write it down. Acceleration without alignment is how you slide off cliffs. So what does the playbook do? 4 tactics, predictable as sunrise. First, flattery. Proverbs 29:5 warns, a man who flatters his neighbor spreads a net for his feet. Flattery inflates hunger by manufacturing a mirror you crave. No one understands you like I do. You're too talented to wait for process. You deserve this. Flattery rushes your soul into entitlement. Tweet this. Entitlement is appetite wearing perfume. Second, urgency. They manufacture speed because haste disables discernment. Isaiah 28:16 says, whoever believes will not be in haste. Faith walks, fear sprints. When someone says, decide now or lose everything, hear the alarm. Scarcity is often the costume of a bad deal. Third, secrecy. Manipulation flourishes where eyes are few. Let's keep this between us. No paper trail. Call me. Don't email. Ephesians 5:11 orders have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. If it requires hiding to function, it requires leaving to stay righteous. Fourth, selective rewards. They hand you small wins to hook large concessions, access, discounts, VIP treatment. Suddenly, you owe them. Suddenly, and your standards start blinking. That's not generosity, that's grooming. Let me run the audit. Are you for sale? Don't answer quickly, search your heart. At what price? A promotion, a contract, an invitation to a room you've idolized? Who can speed you into stupidity? Which voice can press you past your policy? Write it down. The fastest way to fail is to let strangers schedule your conscience. If urgency can purchase your principles, manipulation doesn't need muscle, it just needs a clock. Consider Esau. Hungry, genuine hunger, returning from the field, he sells his birthright for stew. Genesis 25-29-34. Hunger is real, stew is temporary, birthright is law. He traded a covenant for a craving because appetite outran conviction. The scripture records, thus Esau despised his birthright. Despise means to treat as light. Manipulation gets you to treat weighty things lightly and light things heavily. Write this down. Appetite magnified becomes authority misplaced. If food, fame, fantasy, or finance sits on the throne, principle will bow and you will too. Even Jesus faced the playbook in the wilderness. If you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become bread. Matthew 4:3. Hunger plus identity, challenge plus speed. He answered with law, not emotion. It is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. Matthew 4:4. Notice no debate, no demonstration, no panic. He did not perform to prove He referenced to remain. Write it down. When you quote law to appetite, appetite loses jurisdiction. The manipulator loves ambiguous spaces, vague roles, unclear agreements, undefined values. Ambiguity is oxygen to their fire. They will triangulate, talk to you about them, talk to them about you. So you start managing rumors rather than referencing rules. They will appeal to pity and to pride at the same time. I need you, and only you are big enough for this. They will compliment your independence and then demand your isolation. That is why I teach, publish your standards. Darkness cannot negotiate with daylight. John 3:20 exposes the physics. Everyone who does evil hates the light and will not come into the light for fear that their deeds will be exposed. So the tactic is simple. Keep it dark, keep it fast, keep it flattering, keep it rewarding. And your counter is simpler. Make it clear, make it slow, make it public, make it principled. We will train that, but right now, diagnose it. Ask yourself, where do I rationalize speed? I just felt led in the moment. No, many are led by adrenaline and call it the Holy Spirit. Ecclesiastes 7-9 warns, be not hasty in your spirit to be angry. Haste heats the room and melts your guardrails. Write this down. Heat is the manipulator's thermostat. Principle is yours. If someone can raise your temperature, they can write your terms. That's why the first tactic is often to insult you or idolize you. Either extreme activates appetite. Insult triggers pride's appetite for revenge. Idolization triggers ego's appetite for applause. Both make you hurry. Let me be pastoral and direct. Identify your expensive appetites before someone else itemizes them for you. Name your price so it becomes a wall, not a window. I do not lie for profit. I do not trade intimacy for influence. I do not accelerate timelines that outrun due diligence. Put scripture on it, to the law and to the testimony. If they will not speak according to this word, it is because they have no dawn. Isaiah 8:20. Dawn means light, clarity, future. If it cannot pass the word test, it cannot pass through your door. So here is the diagnosis distilled, tweeted. Manipulation only works where appetite outruns conviction. Starve the appetite that seeks a throne. Feed the conviction that refuses one. Flattery becomes noise when you know your name. Urgency becomes data when you honor your pace. Secrecy becomes disqualified when you live loudly. Selective rewards lose leverage when your reward is already settled. Well done, good and faithful servant, Matthew 25-23. When principle rules, schemes fail. That is not poetry, that is policy. Lock it in your soul and you will watch the playbook fall apart at your feet. Now, here is your counter, simple, repeatable, lawful. I call it the calm clarity playbook. 4 steps, practice them until they become reflex. Write it down. Calm clarity changes the arena. When you change the arena from emotion to principle, the game ends. Step 1, master the temperature. Govern your emotions before you govern the moment. Proverbs 16:32 declares, he who is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his spirit than he who takes a city. That's policy, not poetry. You cannot lead what you cannot cool. Before you answer a heated text, cool your core, pause, breathe, pray, delay without ghosting, receive. I will respond at 10 a.m. tomorrow. That is not avoidance. That is jurisdiction. James 1:19, be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger, slow as a speed. Choose it. Write it down. If you let temperature lead, truth will follow. If you let truth lead, temperature will fall. When you master your thermostat, you turn off that stove. Step 2, name the law. In every request, conflict, or opportunity, ask which principle governs this. Say it out loud if you must. It is written, let your yes be yes and your no be no. Matthew 5:37. Truth endures, lies expire. Proverbs 12-19. Sowing and reaping is in effect Galatians 6-7. What policy, scripture, or standard applies? State it calmly. Our standard is transparency in finance. Our team does not make verbal commitments. All scopes are written. I do not meet alone behind closed doors. I honor boundaries. Tweet this. Principle named is power claimed. Ambiguity is the manipulator's oxygen. Clarity is their suffocation. Psalm 119:89 says, "Forever, O Lord, your word is settled in heaven, so settle it on earth by naming it." Step 3, turn on the lights. Bring the issue into daylight with questions and documentation. Ephesians 5:13, everything exposed by the light becomes visible. Questions are light switches. Ask, what is the objective? Who benefits? Who else is aware? What is the timeline? What is the budget? What does success look like? Which policy authorizes this? Are we all willing to put this in writing and copy the necessary stakeholders? Then do it. Email summaries, recap calls, minutes of meetings, Habakkuk 2:2, write the vision, make it plain, write it down. It's not a slogan, it is a shield. When light enters, pressure exits. Manipulation cannot breathe in clarity. People of integrity are not afraid of paper, they invite it. We take thought for what is honorable not only in the Lord's sight, but also in the sight of men. 2 Corinthians 8:21. That means we make our righteousness legible. Step 4, boundaries and consequences. Agreements that enforce themselves. State the line and the law that follows if the line is crossed. If payment is not received by the 15th, work pauses on the 16th. If you raise your voice, we end the meeting and reschedule with a mediator present. If you ask for secrecy that violates policy, I exit the conversation and notify compliance. That is not threat. That is stewardship. That is stewardship. Matthew 18:15-17 gives a boundary protocol, private conversation, then witnesses, then public process, sequence and consequence. Ecclesiastes 5:5 warns, better not to vow than to vow and not pay. So protect your vows with gates. Your yes is protected by your if-then. Write it down. Boundaries operationalize belief so you don't have to fight for it later. Agreements that enforce themselves save you from emotional policing. Let me lock this into your spirit. Calm is not passive. Calm is principled. Clarity is not rude. Clarity is merciful. Questions do not accuse. Questions expose. Documentation is not distrust. Documentation is stewardship. And boundaries are not walls of fear. They are doors with hinges of consequence. Lead with your life. Use your thermostat. Cite your statute. Flip the switch. Set the gate. Do it the same way every time until your predictability becomes your power. When you change the arena from emotion to principle, the game ends. Write it down. Calm, clarity changes the arena. And when the arena changes, manipulation has nowhere to play. Govern emotion first, or emotion will lease your integrity to the highest bidder. Write that down. Tweet it to somebody right now. This is step 1. This is not optional. This is operational. Proverbs 25-28 says, like a city whose walls are broken down is a man who lacks self-control. Walls are governance. Without self-control, anything can walk in insults, flattery, fear, urgency, and write your future for you. Hear the maxim and engrave it on your mind. Who owns your feelings owns your future. Refuse to be rushed. Refuse to be provoked. Refuse to be flattered. If they can raise your temperature, they can write your terms. What is temperature? Temperature is the emotional climate of the moment. Are you a thermometer or a thermostat? A thermometer reports the room. A thermostat sets the room. Character is thermostat. Reaction is thermometer. Write it down. Leaders set climates. Followers catch fevers. Psalm 46:10 says, be still and know that I am God. Stillness is not inactivity. Stillness is authority. When your soul is still, your decisions are lawful. So let me give you tools, because principles must become practices or they remain poetry. Tool number 1, the pause clause. Install it in your mouth right now. Received. I will respond at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Let me review our policy and reply by close of business. I'll revert after I consult the team. That is not evasion, that is jurisdiction. Ephesians 4:26 says, be angry and do not sin. How? Give yourself the gap where sin usually rents space. The pause is the gap. Tweet this. Pause is not weakness. Pause is wisdom. Tool number 2, silence, breathing, and note-taking. Use your body to lead your soul. When voices rise, lower your volume, slow your breath, pick up your pen. 3 slow breaths are 3 locks on a reckless tongue. James 1:19 commands, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger. Slow is a speed, select it, and write as you listen. The pen is a brake pedal. Note-taking turns heat into data. Heat manipulates, data negotiates, write it down. Pens cool rooms. Tool number 3, language shift, replace reaction with reflection. Acts calmly. Help me understand the principle you're appealing to. Not feelings, not pressure, principle. Then follow it. Which policy authorizes this? What law or precedent governs this decision? The moment you say principle, you change the arena. Matthew 4 shows Jesus doing exactly this. The tempter pressed hunger and identity, but Jesus answered, it is written. He did not explain himself. He referenced the law. Do the same. Reaction performs. Reflection references. Character does not audition. Tool number 4, time stamps and daylight. When someone fires a late night insult, do not become nocturnal. Right? Thank you for your message. I will address this at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Sleep. Let cortisol leave your bloodstream. Lamentations 3:23 says, his mercies are new every morning. New mercy, new mind. The devil loves midnight. Wisdom loves morning. If you cannot say it calmly in daylight, you probably should not say it at all. Now, emotional governance is not an event, it is a lifestyle. You cannot be a lion in a meeting if you are a mouse with your mornings. Jesus modeled thermostats. Mark 1:35 records, very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. Luke 5:16 adds, but Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed. Often means system. Solitude is a thermostat. Prayer is a thermostat. Sleep is a thermostat. Elijah wanted to die under a broom tree, and God gave him sleep and food before conversation. 1 Kings 19. Why? Because fatigue counterfeits crises. Write it down. Tired souls make hot rooms. Psalm 127:2 says, he grants sleep to those he loves. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is go to bed. Discipline your bedtime like you discipline your budget. You cannot steward tempers if you do not steward REM. Tweet that. Bring prayer into the schedule, not the emergency room. Set an appointment with God before you set one with people. 2 Timothy 1:7 declares, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. Sound mind is sober mind, governed mind. Start your day with law on your tongue. Read a proverb, pray the Psalms. Speak your policy aloud. Honesty is my only policy. I am a thermostat, not a thermometer. I will not be rushed, provoked, or flattered. Then go to work legislated from the inside. Let me make this practical in the boardroom. Someone bangs the table. If you don't sign today, the deal is gone. You breathe. You lower your voice. You pick up your pen. You help me understand the principle you're appealing to. Why would a good deal expire under scrutiny? Then you apply the pause clause. Received. We will review the terms against policy and respond by Wednesday at 3 p.m. Document it. Send an email summary. Temperature mastered. Jurisdiction kept. No mud wrestling. Law, not muscle. At home, a loved one raises their voice. The old you mirrors it. The governed you chooses pace. Proverbs 15:1 says, a soft answer turns away wrath. Soft is not weak. Soft is strategic. You answer softly. I want to understand and honor you. Let's pause for 10 minutes, breathe, and come back with solutions. You choose slow. You save the room. In ministry or leadership, a rumor surfaces online. Do not sprint to clap back. Ask, which principle governs our response? Truth endures. Lies expire. Proverbs 12:19. Light reveals, time vindicates. Prepare a clear, brief statement of principle and process, then go to sleep. Your beard can fight better than your thumbs at midnight. Now, here is your audit. Write it down. What words raise your temperature? Which faces, which times of day make you foolish? Who can flatter you into speed? Who can insult you into pride? Pre-decide. Build your pause clauses now. Put them in your notes app. Create a signature line that promises response times. Train your team to expect deliberation, not drama. Tweet this. Culture is a thermostat. Build one that cools. Finally, covenant with your body. When heat comes, do 3 breaths, say 3 sentences, and take 3 notes before you answer. Breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. Reset. Sentences. Thank you for raising this. Help me understand the principle you're appealing to. Here's when I will respond. Notes, write names, dates, claims. That's it. Simple, repeatable, lawful. I commission you now. Master the temperature. Govern your emotions daily. Sleep like a steward. Pray like a priest. Withdraw like a king. Speak like a judge. Say it aloud. I am a thermostat. I set climates with calm. Who owns my feelings does not own my future, because my feelings report to my faith and my faith reports to God's law. Lead with your life and let your calm become the courtroom where manipulation loses its case. Now that your temperature is under jurisdiction, step 2, name the law. Say it out loud. Principle named is power claimed. You cannot enforce what you will not announce. Psalm 119-89 says, forever, O Lord, your word is settled in heaven. Settled in heaven must be settled in your house, your company, your ministry. Matthew 5:37 adds, let your yes be yes and your no, no. That's policy language. Write it down. Principles are laws. They never change. Tweet that. You can ignore a principle, but you can never disagree with a principle. It will enforce itself with or without your opinion. So let's state the non-negotiables. In this house, we do not lie, we do not hide, we do not harm. Say it again, slowly, until it becomes oxygen to your culture. In this organization, we do not lie. Truth is our only currency. We do not hide. Transparency is our operating system. We do not harm. Honor is our ethic. Honesty is my only policy, not best only. Deuteronomy 6-9 instructs, write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Post your law on the wall, on the website, on the onboarding packet, on the fridge. If it is not written, it is optional. Write it down. Policy prevents personality from hijacking principle. Let me give you the gravity lesson. You don't negotiate with gravity, you design around it. Gravity doesn't care how sincere you are. If you jump off a building, you're going to die. That is not mean, that is law. So what do wise builders do? They install rails, they pour stairs, they build harnesses. They design for law, not against it. Do the same with your life and leadership. Stop arguing with principle and architect your world around it. Write the policy, then live it. Tweet this. Design beats debate. Principles are not consulted, they are complied with. Now to put values into standards. Philosophy produces values. Values produce morals. Morals inform ethics. Ethics produce character. Character becomes lifestyle. That's the cascade. But here is the practice. Turn beliefs into visible rules, checkpoints, and rhythms. Example, value, we honor time. Sound that all emails acknowledged within 24 hours. All meetings start on the minute. Agenda sent the day before. Action items time stamped. Checkpoints, weekly dashboard shows response times. Friday at 3 p.m. The team audits, delays, and resets. Another value. We protect purity. Standard. No closed door one-on-ones with the opposite sex without windows or a third presence. No late night pastoral counseling without a second leader. Travel policy pairs. Checkpoints, trip logs reviewed, calendars shared. Rhythm, monthly, boundary, review. Another value, we steward money. 2 signatures on every disbursement. No cash deals. Receipts within 48 hours. Quarterly open book review. Checkpoints, internal controls, bank reconciliation. Rhythm Finance Committee meets first Tuesday. Transparency report published. Write it down. Your values are sentences. Your standards are schedules. Publish your standards. Ephesians 5:13 says, everything exposed by the light becomes visible. Light is publication. Put the code on the wall. Print the boundary card and put it in your wallet. Teach it to your children, your staff, your volunteers. Daniel prayed 3 times a day as he had done previously. Daniel 6:10. as he had done previously. Rhythm, predictable obedience is unbribable. Ambiguity is the manipulator's oxygen. Clarity is their suffocation. Tweet that. The moment you make the rule public, the back room loses leverage. People of character welcome sunlight. Schemers squint. Use language that legislates. When pressure arrives, don't narrate feelings. Cite statutes. Our policy requires 2 signatures. We'll proceed when both are present. As per our standard, we do not make verbal commitments. Please send a scope in writing. In this house, we do not raise voices. If tone escalates, we pause and reconvene with a mediator. We do not accept gifts that compromise judgment. Thank you, but we decline. That is not rudeness, that is order. 1 Corinthians 14:40 says, let all things be done decently and in order. Order is mercy. Write it down. Clarity is kindness to the future. Embed checkpoints so your standards don't depend on memory. Memory is moody. Systems are steady. Create a pre-meeting checklist. Objective, define, decision rights named. Who else should be present? Which policy governs? Record keeper assigned. Place which principle governs this as the first line of every agenda. Close with a recap. Decisions, owners, deadlines. Send the minutes. Habakkuk 2:2. Write the vision. Make it plain. Paper is discipline. Memory is myth. Tweet that to somebody who keeps promising to remember. Schedule rhythms that rehearse the law. Monday morning law, 5 minutes to read a proverb and restate the week standards. Midweek integrity huddle, 10 minutes to surface tensions and apply policy. Friday audit, 15 minutes to review breaches, document remedies, and celebrate adherence. Quarterly external review, invite trustworthy eyes to test your transparency. We take thought for what is honorable, not only in the Lord's sight, but also in the sight of men. 2 Corinthians 8:21. Write it down. Accountability grows where rehearsal lives. At home, make it visible. Kitchen poster. In this house, we tell the truth. We finish what we start. We apologize without excuses. Phones docked at 9 p.m. Doors stay open during conversations that require counsel. We pray before we post. Parents sign it. Kids sign it. Guests see it. That sign is not decor. It's due process. In business, make it operational. Vendor code of conduct signed before the first invoice. Communication policy. No decisions in DMs. All agreements via email or platform. Conflict protocol laminated on every desk. Pause, principle, questions, documentation, boundary. When someone asks for an exception, be gracious and immovable. We love you. We honor you. We do not bend this law. Jesus said, heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. Matthew 24:35. Eternal words make excellent policies. Let me pastor you firmly. Stop keeping your standards in your head and start keeping them on paper, on calendars, and on walls. The devil does not fear your memory. He fears your mandate. Name the law. Write the law. Teach the law. Review the law. Enforce the law. Do it calmly, consistently, publicly. When principle is named, power is claimed. When power is claimed, manipulation runs out of oxygen. Lead with your life and let your published standards become the rails that keep your train on God's track. Step 3, turn on the lights. Write it down. Light removes leverage. Tweet that to somebody trying to negotiate in the shadows. Ephesians 5:13 says, everything exposed by the light becomes visible. Light is not mood lighting. Light is management. In the kingdom, questions are light switches. Every manipulator needs dim corners, urgency without facts, favors without paper, emotions without witnesses. So we flip the switch with transparent questions and documented summaries until the room itself protects you. Transparency drains manipulation of its pressure and payoff. Here are your switches. Use them calmly every time. Please put that in writing. Who benefits? Who else is aware? What policy covers this? What is the objective in one sentence? What is the budget and whose account funds it? Who holds the decision rights? What are the risks and how will we mitigate them? What does success look like and how will we measure it? What is the timeline and what happens if we miss it? Which scripture, policy, or precedent authorizes this path? Say them like liturgy. Question, do not accuse. Question, expose. Proverbs 20:5 declares, the purposes of a person's heart are deep waters, but one who has insight draws them out. Questions are your bucket, draw it out. Now make documentation your reflex, not your exception. If it cannot survive daylight, it should not live. Luke 8:17 says, nothing is hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be known or brought up into the open. Act like that is already true and save yourself the scandal. After every call or meeting, send a summary within 24 hours per our conversation on date time. You requested X. Our standard policy reference requires Y. Agreed next steps are A, B, C with owners, names and deadlines, dates. If I have misunderstood, please reply with corrections by time. Copy the necessary stakeholders. Store it in the shared folder. Minutes are memory with a spine. Habakkuk 2:2. Write the vision. Make it plain. Plain is protection. Shift the arena on purpose. Move conversations from private corners to accountable tables. That means no decisions in DMs. Escalate hallway whispers to scheduled meetings with agendas and recorders. Replace late night phone pressure with business hour emails. Bring a second set of eyes into sensitive rooms. Jesus gives a protocol. By the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, every word may be established. Matthew 18:16. Establish the word. Add a witness. Add a window. Add a record. Tone will change when the lights come on. Tweak this. Shadow sells speed. Sunlight sells truth. Let me pass you with a picture. A vendor says, Pastor, we can give you a 15% discount if we settle in cash today, no paperwork. It's a blessing. Blessings have receipts. You smile. You cool the room. Thank you. Please put that in writing and include the full scope, warranty, and tax details. Copy procurement. Our policy covers all disbursements with 2 signatures. We do not transact in cash. Silence. Light just remove their leverage. If the offer was clean, it will stand on the clarity. If it was crooked, it will melt under the sun. At home, your teenager says, everybody's going to this party. Don't make it a big deal. Light. Who is hosting? What's the address? Which parents are present? Send the invite link and the contact number. We'll call them. Curfew is 10:30 p.m. Location sharing stays on. If the plan is honorable, it will welcome the call. If the plan is foolish, it will collapse without a fight. Parents, write this down. Love is light with a lock on it. In business, a board member corners you after a meeting. Let's push this hire through quickly. We don't need to trouble HR, trust me. You breathe. You change rooms. I honor your input. Please email your recommendation with the candidate's CV, references, and policy alignment to HR and copy the governance chair. We will schedule a formal review. Backroom becomes boardroom. Pressure becomes process. John 3:20-21 says, everyone who does evil hates the light and will not come into the light for fear that their deeds will be exposed. But whoever lives by the truth comes into the light. Live by the truth, come into the light. Build open channels that make transparency a habit. Standardize your minutes template. Objective, facts, options, considered, decision, owners, deadlines, policy, references. Set a 4-hour summary rule for all key interactions. Park sensitive topics in shared documents with version history. Create a sunlight clause in your agreements. All material decisions will be summarized in writing and communicated to stakeholders. Use public calendars for leadership availability and avoid one-on-one meetings in opaque time blocks. Write it down. Paper is discipline. Platforms are public squares. Privacy without principle is a trap. Use daylight language for clarity. Please restate the ask in writing. Which policy are you appealing to? Who else should be included so we are all aligned? Let's schedule a 30-minute call with an agenda and a recorder. I will send a recap for confirmation. This is not suspicion. This is stewardship. 2 Corinthians 8:21. We take thought for what is honorable, not only in the Lord's sight, but also in the sight of men. Make your honor legible. People of integrity love receipts because receipts love truth. Expect resistance from those who feed on fog. They will say, do you not trust me? Your answer is gentle and firm. I trust principle above personality. Our standard is light. They will say, must we copy them? Yes, accountability protects us all. They will say, why so formal? Because informality is where integrity goes to die. Write it down. Friendship is not a policy, clarity is. Let me give you a covenant practice for your team. Post a maxim above every workstation. Light removes leverage. Require that every decision of consequence is 1, requested in writing, 2, tied to policy, 3, witnessed by at least one other person, 4, summarized within 24 hours, and 5, stored where it can be found without you. Train everyone to ask. First line of every meeting, which principle governs this? Train everyone to end. Last line of every meeting, who is summarizing and by when? That repetition will become your shield. There's no such thing as a private life. Live loudly. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Matthew 5:16. Not your good intentions, your good works, documented, dated, witnessed. Flip the switch, ask the questions. Send the summaries, open the channels, and watch as pressure loses its breath and gains run out of board. Transparency drains manipulation of its pressure and payoff. Light removes leverage. Write it down. Lead with your life. Step 3, turn on the lights. Now step 4, installs the locks. Write it down. Boundaries operationalize belief so you don't have to fight for it later. Tweet that to somebody who keeps apologizing after every disaster. Law without boundaries is theory. Boundaries with consequences are self-enforcing agreements. Amos 3:3 asks, can 2 walk together unless they be agreed? Agreement is not a feeling. It is structure. If, then architecture. If this, then that. No surprises, no arguments. Just order, just peace. Let me define it simply. What is a boundary? A boundary is a pre-announced line with a pre-agreed outcome. What is a consequence? A consequence is the automatic response when the line is crossed. We don't shout, we don't wrestle, we don't bargain. We execute what we wrote. Galatians 6-7 says, do not be deceived. God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man sows, that shall he also reap. That's divine if then. You don't argue with harvest, you plant differently. Do the same with your life. Build a covenant of consequences and let the covenant do the talking. Here is your architecture. Take these and build your world. If tone escalates beyond our standard, then we pause and reconvene with a mediator within 48 hours. If a decision is requested without documentation, then the answer is no until the paper arrives. If money is not receipted by policy, then we do not receive it ever. If a meeting is proposed in secret, then we decline and invite it into the calendar with witnesses. If a deadline is missed without notice, then the project resets with reapproval, no silent slides. If a gift exceeds the threshold, then we return it or record it publicly. If a romantic advance occurs under our care or authority, then we immediately report it and remove ourselves from decision rights. If an apology is offered but the behavior repeats thrice, then access changes, privilege is paused, trust is rebuilt by metrics, not memories. Write it down. Love is patient, love is also scheduled. Relational boundaries are sacred because influence is invisible. Say them aloud. I do not do secret meetings. I do not touch unclear money. I do not receive ambiguous favors. Friendship is not a policy, clarity is. Nehemiah said to Sanballat, I am doing a great work and I cannot come down. Nehemiah 6-3, that is a boundary. Jesus moved through a crowd that wanted to throw him off a cliff and went on his way, Luke 4:30. That is a boundary. Daniel resolved not to defile himself, Daniel. Resolution is a line in the soul that your feet obey. Tweet this. Resolution today prevents regret tomorrow. Now let's talk about your mouth. Verbal integrity is the first fence. Matthew 5:37 commands, let your yes be yes and your no, no. Not maybe, not we'll see, not spiritual fog. Yes is covenant, no is protection. Honesty is my only policy. Say it out loud. Not best policy, only policy. Your words are contracts, make them precise. If you cannot say yes with clarity, say no with honor. Our policy does not allow that. I cannot attend. We do not receive cash. I will not discuss that without a witness. You are not rude. You are responsible. Proverbs 22:3 says, the prudent see danger and take refuge. The simple keep going and pay the penalty. Refuge is a boundary. Penalty is a consequence. Choose your shelter before you meet the storm. Make the boundaries visible and the consequences automatic. Put them on paper, on the wall, on the welcome packet, on the invoice. Psalm 16:6 declares, the boundary lines have fallen for me in pleasant places. Pleasant boundaries increase pleasure because they reduce fear in your home. Devices dark at 9 p.m. Doors stay open for sensitive conversations. If curfew is broken, car privilege pauses for a week, no debates. In business, 2 signatures on disbursements. If a contract lacks scope, no start date is issued. If an email is not acknowledged within 24 hours, it escalates to a call. If a conflict arises, we follow Matthew 18 private, then 2 or 3, then the church. If they refuse to hear, we release them. The process is the muscle. You keep your peace. Let me pass to you with 3 settings. Boardroom, a donor says, Pastor, I can help you close the budget gap. No need to go through the committee. Your boundary answers, we honor your generosity. Our standard requires all gifts to be receipted, reviewed by the finance team, and acknowledged publicly. If that is uncomfortable for you, we bless you to give elsewhere. That is not losing money. That is keeping your soul. Proverbs 10:22 says, the blessing of the Lord makes rich, and he adds no sorrow with it. Gifts that hide invite sorrow. Family. A relative says, just let them sleep over. Don't make it complicated. Boundary. We love you. Our home policy requires parent contact, address, supervision details, and a pickup plan. If that's not available, they'll stay home. We will not apologize for stewardship. The child may pout. The family may roll eyes. Time will vindicate you. Boundaries now are testimonies later. Team. An employee chronically misses deadlines and charms you with eloquent apologies. Boundary, we value you and we value time. Our standard is delivery by deadline. We have built a remediation plan with date, support, and check-ins. If the pattern continues for 30 days, then we transition this role. No shame, just stewardship. You can cry and still correct. Mercy is not the absence of consequence. Mercy is consequence explained with dignity. Plan your exits before you need them. Write it down. The highest form of power is the power to walk away. Jesus watched as many disciples turned back and no longer followed him. John 6:66. He did not chase manipulation. He clarified mission. Sometimes the wisest strategy is Nehemiah's sentence, I cannot come down. When principle is refused, you are not obligated to bleed to prove love. Love tells the truth, honors the law, and keeps covenant with God first. If a partnership demands secrecy, bargains against your policy, or mocks your standards, end it with blessing. Send a courteous note. Our values require X. Since we cannot align, we will discontinue this engagement effective date. We appreciate the opportunity and wish you well. That is not bitterness, that is boundaries. Winning is not getting your way. Winning is keeping your way, the way of integrity. Pre-agree with yourself and with others. Build a boundary card you carry. 5 lines, 5 consequences. Teach your team, teach your children. Put it in the onboarding. Review it quarterly. Add a signature line. I consent to the standards and the outcomes. Deuteronomy 30:19. I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore, choose life. Choices come with chapters. Write them before you live them. Now lift your head. You are not hard. You are holy. Holiness means one integrated, the same in dark and daylight. Boundaries make you one. Agreements that enforce themselves make you free to be gentle because the fence is firm. Say it with me. I am not for sale. My yes is yes. My no is no. I refuse secret rooms, vague money, and borrowed favors. If principle is resisted, I walk away with honor. My boundaries are love with locks, and my consequences are covenants with dates. I win without fighting because my agreements fight for me. Lead with your life. Let's take this into the laboratory. Case 1, Joseph versus Samson. 2 men touch power from different sides of character. Joseph faced sexual manipulation. Samson faced sexual opportunity. One governed appetite. One surrendered to appetite. Genesis 39:7 says Potiphar's wife cast longing eyes on Joseph, and she said, lie with me. This was not a date. This was a demand with career consequences. Hear Joseph's law. How then could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God? Genesis 39:9. He did not negotiate feelings. He cited statute. Write it down. Principle precedes passion. Joseph lost his coat, but he kept his character. Tweet that. He lost position, but he kept his policy. He went to prison, but he did not lose himself. And what did God do? The Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. Genesis 39:21. Favor followed integrity into the dark. Joseph won without fighting because law outlasted lies. Short-term cost, long-term crown. Now Samson, Judges 16:4 opens a tragedy in slow motion. Afterward it happened that he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek whose name was Delilah. Love without law becomes lust with leverage. He toyed with boundaries. He boasted in biceps but neglected his barber, his vow. Delilah pressed him daily. Speed and pressure, appetite met opportunity, and principle was absent. Verse 17, he told her all his heart. Write it down. When appetite rules, you lease your heart to the highest bidder. And the sentence that breaks me every time, Judges 16:20. He did not know that the Lord had departed from him. Power did not corrupt Samson. Power revealed corruption. Eyes gouged, grinding at the mill, strong body, broken boundaries. He won fights and lost himself. Tweet this. Charisma can open doors your character cannot hold. Image before dominion. God gave image before power. Joseph proves it. Samson warns us. Now, boardroom, you are COO. A vendor leans in. We can guarantee your permits in half the time for a small expedite fee off the record. Everyone does it. Manipulation packages pressure as normal. What do you do? Steps 1, 4 inches order. Step 1, master the temperature. Slow down the blood. Slow down the room. You breathe. You smile without yielding. Thank you for the proposal. Let's pause and review our process. Calm is custody. Write it down. Temperature mastery precedes policy mastery. Step 2, name the law. You cite statutes, not sentiments. Our code explicitly prohibits facilitation, payments, and off-ledger disbursements. We operate under FCPA, UK Bribery Act alignment. All fees must be on the invoice and in the contract. Honesty is our only policy, not best only. 2 Corinthians 8:21. We take thought for what is honorable, not only in the Lord's sight, but also in the sight of men. You move the arena from favors to law. Step 3, turn on the lights. Questions become the switch. Please put the proposal in writing with scope, legal basis for the expedite and the government schedule you're referencing. Who authorizes this on your side? Copy, compliance, and our counsel. We'll log this as RFQ 317 and review at the governance meeting Wednesday, 10 a.m. I'll send minutes within 24 hours. Shadows lose leverage under minutes. Ephesians 5:13. Light makes it visible. Step 4, boundaries and consequences. You've already pre-agreed your if-then. If a vendor requests an off-ledger fee, then we decline the request, document the incident, and evaluate vendor fit. If misrepresentation persists, then we terminate the engagement and report as required. Then you execute calmly. You may lose a deal. You keep your soul. Write it down. Refusals today become referrals tomorrow. Reputable partners look for companies with receipts. Your integrity becomes their risk management. Short-term cost, long-term compounding credibility. Now, backroom. Families have backrooms too. The silent treatment is emotional blackmail, pressure without words. How do you win without fighting? Steps 1, 4 again. Step 1, master the temperature. You refuse to chase shadows. You tell your heart, be still. Psalm 131 training. You breathe, you pray, you note your facts. You do not send 10 apologetic texts fishing for peace. Calm is clarity. Step 2, name the law. In this house, we do not punish with silence. We practice respect and truth. Ephesians 4:15, speaking the truth in love. Matthew 5:37, let your yes be yes. You send one gentle, principled message. I value you. Our family standard is respect and open conversation. When you're ready, I'm available to talk. Step 3, turn on the lights. You propose structure. Can we schedule 30 minutes today at 7 p.m.? Agenda. What happened, how it felt, what we need. If emotions run high, we will pause and invite a mediator, pastor, counselor. You move it from fog to calendar, from corridors to a table. You avoid triangulation, no recruiting allies. Light removes leverage. Therefore, boundaries and consequences, pre-agreed and kind. If we cannot open dialogue by time, then we will pause discretionary decisions, travel plans, spending commitments until we reconnect. If we reach an impasse, then we schedule counseling this week. I will not respond to silence or with appeasement. I will respond with a scheduled conversation that is not punishment, that is stewardship. Proverbs 22:3. The prudent see danger and take refuge. Refuge is a boundary. You are inviting peace with structure. You are teaching your home the law of the Lord, that all things be done decently and in order. 1 Corinthians 14:40. Write this down. Principal responses may cost warmth for a night, but they purchase trust for a lifetime. Joseph lost a season and gained a system, grain, governance, nations fed. Samson gained a night and lost a nation, judgeship cut short, eyes cut out, coats are cheap, crowns are expensive. Treat that. In the boardroom, you might forfeit a shortcut and gain a reputation that attracts clean capital. In the family room, you might endure cool silence and build a climate where respect, not pressure, is the air your children breathe. Let me pass to you with a final mirror. Are you seeking speed or stature? Speed is backroom. Stature is boardroom. Speed gives you headlines. Stature gives you history. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, see, I have set you over all the land of Egypt. Genesis 41:41. Why? Because Joseph's prison record read like policy, temperance, transparency, trustworthy boundaries. Live like that. Laws as rails, light as language, boundaries as locks. And even when others play dirty, the dirt has nowhere to stick. Manipulation collapses. You win without fighting because your life is already legislated by truth. Lead with your life. Formation begins before the fight. Write it down. Pre-decision in peace prevents poor decisions in pressure. Tweet that to someone who keeps repenting after they decide. You don't improvise integrity, you install it. You don't guess your way to holiness, you govern your way there. Let me build you a framework that has kept kings and crushed scandals. Philosophy leads to values. Values produce morals. Morals inform ethics. Ethics shape character, and character becomes lifestyle. That is the cascade. Say it with me and draw the arrows. Philosophy, values, morals, ethics, character, lifestyle. Why? Because roots determine fruit. If the root is confused, the fruit will be compromised. What is philosophy? It is what you believe about reality, about God, man, truth, time, law. Romans 12:2 says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Your mind is the factory. Your life is the product. What are values? Values are the things you value. If you value convenience over truth, you will sell truth for speed. If you value holiness, you will pay the price of privacy and precision. What are morals? Morals are your personal standards, your internal rules when no one is watching. What are ethics? Ethics are your morals applied in public policies you can defend and document. What is character? Character is the integration of the inside and the outside oneness. What is lifestyle? Lifestyle is character repeated until it becomes predictable. The Lord our God is one. Deuteronomy 6:4. Be one. Integrity is oneness. Holiness is oneness. This is the river you're going to flow in, no bends when the wind blows. Now lock it in with daily vows. I call this your prison of conviction, and it is the only prison that makes you free. Write it down and read it aloud every morning. I do not lie. I do not steal. I do not use people. I am not for sale, not for a raise, not for a ring, not for relief. Honesty is my only policy, not best only. My yes is yes, my no is no. Matthew 5:37. I do not transact in shadows. I do not touch unclear money. I do not open private channels that close God out. I honor my body and the bodies of others. I lead with my life. Put these on your mirror on your phone lock screen, on your office wall. Vows are not vibes. Vows are volume knobs that set your soul before the noise arrives. Then run a triple audit every week. I taught this to politicians, pastors, and parents. It is simple, and it will save you. 3 categories reveal you: power, money, sex. Write it down. Power, money, access to sex. Audit 1 power. Ask, did I use authority to serve or to secure myself? Who corrected me this week, and did I receive it without retaliation? Where did I make a unilateral decision that should have had witnesses? Did I hide anything from governance? Luke 22:26, the greatest among you should be like the youngest, and the one who rules like the one who serves. If no one can correct you, you are already corrupted. Audit 2 money. Ask, did I touch any unreceipted funds, any cash that avoided policy? Did I expense anything I would be embarrassed to read aloud? Did I delay tithes or generosity because greed whispered later? Did I borrow what I never planned to repay? Proverbs 11:1. A false balance is an abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. Money without measures is mischief. Receipt everything. Audit 3 sex. Ask, were my eyes disciplined? Did my messages cross from care to flirt? Did I meet in private settings that could be misunderstood? Did I entertain fantasies that I would be ashamed to confess? 2 Timothy 2:22 says, flee youthful lusts. Don't negotiate, flee. Establish windows in your rooms, daylight in your calendars, and names on your list. If you hide a friendship from your spouse or your leader, it's not a friendship, it's a fracture. Are you for sale? Decide now. Write it down. Temptation is not a sin. Secrecy is an ecosystem. Ecosystem. Now pruning. God is a gardener. He prunes what he loves. John 15:2. Every branch that bears fruit he prunes so that it will be even more fruitful. Pruning is not punishment. Pruning is preparation. Remove relationships that negotiate your standards. If a friend mocks your policy, they are not a friend to your future. Proverbs 13:20. A companion of fools suffers harm. Remove books, podcasts, and feeds that normalize false shows that glamorize adultery while you are trying to build a holy marriage. Influencers who wink at bribery while you are building clean business. Psalm 101:3. I will set no worthless thing before my eyes. Unfollow, unsubscribe, uninstall. Environments too. Don't sit in rooms that demand you dim your light to belong. If you only thrive in secret, you are already dying. There's no such thing as a private life. Live loudly. Put your standards on your website. Put your policies on your foyer. Put your calendar in the light. If you must whisper it, don't do it. Let me make it practical. Build a values to ethics card, front pocket, daily glance. Side A, your 5 values: truth, purity, stewardship, service, transparency. Side B, the ethics that operationalize them: receipts for every dollar, 2 witnesses for every major decision, glass doors for sensitive meetings, 2 4-hour documentation for key conversations. No gifts above threshold without public recording. Review weekly. Train your team and your family to ask first line, which value governs this? And last line, which ethic enforces it? Habakkuk 2:2, write the vision, make it plain. Plain is protection. Finally, commission your will. Joshua stood before a nation and said, choose this day whom you will serve. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Joshua 24:15. Choice is covenant. Say it with me out loud right now. I predecide my honesty. I predecide my purity. I predecide my stewardship. I predecide my submission to witnesses and to policy. I lock myself in the prison of my convictions and I throw away the key. My philosophy honors God. My values are truth and holiness. My morals are consistent. My ethics are public. My character is one. My lifestyle is predictable righteousness. When pressure comes, it will only discover what is already decided. Romans 6:13. Present yourselves to God as instruments of righteousness. Present yourself now. Predecision in peace prevents poor decisions and pressure. Lead with your life and let your life legislate your future. Live loudly. Jesus said, you are the light of the world. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Matthew 5:14-16. Light does not debate darkness. It exposes it. Write it down. The radical transparency rule. Never do anything you don't want anyone to find out about. Tweet that. If it cannot survive the sun, it cannot serve your future. Luke 8:17 says, nothing is hidden that will not be disclosed, nor anything secret that will not be made known and come to light. So we choose the light early. We do not hide and hope. We reveal and rule. This is not paranoia. This is policy. Honesty is my only policy. Say it out loud. Only policy. When others play dirty, you don't descend. You ascend into law, into light, into order. Dirt can't stick to a surface soaked in sunlight. Now establish a public witness rhythm. Rhythm is stronger than regret. Every week, not when there's a crisis, you schedule accountability with your spouse. 20-minute check-in, calendars, contacts, cash. What did you spend? Where were you? Who did you meet? What decision did you make and who witnessed it with your team? 30-minute governance huddle, deliverables, delays, decisions, minutes recorded and shared within 24 hours. Bank statements reconciled, receipts matched to policy, gifts logged and acknowledged publicly, conflicts listed with status, private conversation held, 2 or 3 witnesses engaged, resolution or release noted. James 5:16, confess your faults one to another and pray for one another that you may be healed. Healing follows honesty. Acts 24:16, I discipline myself to maintain always a blameless conscience, both before God and before men. Discipline is scheduled. Put a glass door in your life. Quarterly report to elders, annual ethics review with an outside auditor, standing rule, no cash, no favors, no secrets. Tweet this. Open records of spiritual warfare. Light drains leverage. Gift before grind. Leaders don't chase platforms. They serve problems. Proverbs 18:16 says, a man's gift makes room for him and brings him before great men. Your gift is your fruit. Followers come to eat, not to clap. Trees never run after passers-by. Fruit pulls them in. Write it down. True leaders never seek followers. Followers seek fruit. Serve with precision. Document your value. Publish your standards. Build credibility like compound interest. Quiet, consistent, clean. When manipulation invites you to win by force, you win by fruit. Influence is heavier than intimidation. Joseph did not campaign for the palace. He administered a prison with excellence, and the palace found him. Gift before grind, image before dominion. Character governs power, and power becomes safe. Now, covenant. Say it with me and sign it with your life. I choose the lampstand. I refuse the bowl. I will never do in private what I am ashamed to announce in public. I publish my policies. I document my decisions. I invite witnesses. I keep receipts. I reconcile weekly. I submit gladly to review. My yes is yes. My no is no. I am not for sale, not for speed, not for status, not for sorrow disguised as blessing. I live loudly. Proverbs 10:9 declares, whoever walks in integrity walks securely. Security is not a guard with a gun. Security is a soul with one story. 1 Peter 2:12 commands, live such good lives among the pagans that they may see your good deeds and glorify God. Live so consistently that slander has no Velcro. When lies arrive, they find no purchase. When schemes assemble, they have nowhere to land. Isaiah 54:17 says, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Why? Because covenant is a shield and transparency is armor. This is your send-off. Do not descend to wrestle with shadows. Stand in the sun and let law do the fighting. Keep the rhythm, keep the records, keep the gift flowing. When pressure rises, breathe and bring the light. When offers arrive in the dark, bless them and decline. When applause tempts shortcuts, remember fruit, not force. Lead with your life. Influence beats force every time. Tweet that. And may the God who is one make you one, so that your life becomes legislation and your presence becomes policy. Go live loudly and win without fighting.